The reason that, I don't get too stressed or I don't get too overwhelmed is because I got a process, and, in the early days, you start off and you're not particularly busy, so you've got those worries, and then suddenly you're so busy, you haven't got time to breathe. So you've got those worries. But I think with it seems to happen super quickly. You go from hobby, creative, starting in the industry, finding your feet, and then suddenly slam, smashed, absolutely busy all the time. I mean, that's how it kind of went for me.
The Side Hustler's Perspective podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, we break down the art of healthy hustling, getting out of your own way, and growing your creative business. Made.By.James Martin is in the house again, back again for the second time. How you doing, brother?
I am super. Thank you, Scotty. I speak to you a lot at the moment, don't I?
Yeah, and I'm not complaining about it. It's literally been like every day, and I'm happy about that. It went from not speaking for months to let's reschedule this podcast a couple of times due to unforeseen circumstances, which we'll chat about, to now it's like I get to bug you every day.
Well, I get to bug you because, just so for everybody's information, Scotty is my crypto queen. I'm going to call him. So I'm learning.
Why can't I be king at least?
Okay, you can be king. So you've been teaching me the ways of the future, which I'm very excited about. So, but that's a totally different thing from design. But
we're doing it the smart way for people out there, and we'll gradually ease into NFTs. So, I want to be able to help people along this way because it's just a new gateway for more opportunities for us creatives and to build generational wealth. I'm just saying, but more about you. Let's just dive in and nerd out about this today. I want to get into the meat of this conversation. But first, let's get this out of the way. For those who may not know, give us a brief Wikipedia page summary about yourself and why people should care. And if people want the full enchilada hot dish of the whole bio, I got the website, episodes, whatever. You were back on in July 15th, 2020. So well over a year ago. And that's where you can really go back into his story. But I want to just get into the value today. So give a brief Wikipedia page summary and let's just dive in.
Well, Wikipedia is often wrong, so I'll try not to get it wrong. So
an autobiography in one sentence.
I am James Martin. I have a beard. I design logos. I'm from the UK. I run a personal brand called Made.By.James and a design agency called Baby Giant Design Co. Wikipedia tick. I suppose that's kind of it, isn't it? I like to, I'm big on brand identity, and I love helping other creatives. That's kind of my passion project. And which something I'm leaning more and more into. So it's exciting.
And you have a pretty rad story, which I do suggest people going back to listen to that episode that you're originally on, that I will tuck in to the show notes. But what I've really liked is how you've put serving creatives seems to be a really top priority from you from the time we connected last year. I feel like I've known you for years now. We've only known each other for the beginning of 2020. Yeah. But I really liked how you've gone even more attention and energy into just being how can I help my fellow creatives? I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a funny old beast, our industry, isn't it? I mean, there's lots of people who share and there's lots of people that not, and there's no right or wrong way. When I was kind of growing up in the industry, to be fair, I didn't even have freaking social media. When I started design, social media wasn't a thing. So there's all this technology now, which opens up doors for conversation stuff. And I just it was tough when I started, and I kind of want to, I think often, I know I'm rambling here, but I think often the design industry is, you're either at the bottom or you're at the top, but there's such a journey that goes, from all the way, I don't think I'm even halfway through my career yet, and I'm on year 16, 17 now. So, I'm just trying to share some stuff that I've learned, and if people jump on it, great. If they don't, it's not a problem. But I think it's, knowledge can only be called knowledge if it's shared, I think. So,
Agreed. I like doing it. I feel like we're here, and why we vibe is I feel like I'm here not only to create artwork, which I'm tapping into again, finding that artistic identity that got me here, but I feel like we're here as guides, to guide people who may have been getting stuck in the spots that we were getting stuck when we were just trying to find our groove or take the next step, find the next level, be more professional with the business aspect of our creativity.
Yeah. And I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And to be fair, I haven't got it all figured out. You haven't got it all figured out. We're still trying to figure it out.
It's like crypto. We're still early into the game.
We're still super early in the game. Yeah. I mean, as I said, I think I've only just really found my voice, and I'm on year 16, 17 now. So, I've got another 20 plus years of the James that I've found and the James that I've worked very hard to become. And I'm excited to kind of share. I mean, you guys are going to be fucking sick of me by the time we're like 70. So,
it's a new level of James then too. There's always the next level, a new way to reinvent yourself.
My beard might be slightly grayer then. But yeah, I think
looking like Gandalf the Grey over here.
Like a Gandalf sleeve. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's, I just kind of, I love the creative community. I think that's something that I'm really passionate about. I love logo design, I love brand identity, but the community for me is like always been so kind to me. And I always want to give back. I think I always will. So yeah, I'm pumped about it.
Well, let's nerd out. So a lot of my students or just a lot of creatives I have conversation with, whether DMs at conferences, hopefully conferences again soon, emails, whatever. A lot of them are either starting their journey into freelance, or they're looking to take their freelancing business more seriously with systems and processes, et cetera. They're tired of acting like a hobbyist and guessing it with no clear direction, just stumbling through a client relationship process.
Yeah.
I was hoping today we could dive deep into the weeds and nerd out about a popular Instagram post you had a while back, 5 important things to discuss before starting your client work.
Mm-hmm.
So
that sounds like a good one.
It was my idea too. I got to just take all the credit.
But you know how it is. I mean, it's, especially when I grew up,
back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day. I'm not super old, but I think just when I say stuff like that, I mean like more when I started.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I thought being a creative was enough. Do you know what I mean? I thought, I just do it for the love of it. The money's extra. I'm here for the ride kind of thing, and kind of took a long time, really.
Like if you were just creative and talented, it would figure itself out kind of thing?
Yeah, I think.
Like if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I thought, if I just keep creating, stuff will happen. And, I think to a certain degree that has been the case, but the only reason I've got to where I've got to is because of process.
Intentionality.
And the reason that I sleep at night is because I got a process down. The reason that, I don't get too stressed or I don't get too overwhelmed is because I got a process, and, in the early days, you start off and you're not particularly busy, so you've got those worries, and then suddenly you're so busy, you haven't got time to breathe. So you've got those worries. But I think with it seems to happen super quickly. You go from hobby, creative, starting in the industry, finding your feet, and then suddenly smashed, absolutely busy all the time. I mean, that's how it kind of went for me. It kind of went, obviously there was like a gradual slope up, kind of up, down, up, down, up, down. And now it's just constant on. But that's also because I'm always constantly pushing myself, right? What next? Logo.
With course, you, man.
Write a book. What's next? Crypto, blah, blah, blah. So I'm always trying to keep busy and trying to keep one. Yeah,
there's always another level.
Yeah, always try and keep one step ahead. I always like to use the old Nokia phone analogy. Like when I was younger, like everybody on the planet had a Nokia 3210. Used to play Snake on it all the time.
Snake.
Used to love it. And then suddenly they sat on their laurels. They sat back, thought they had the market dominated. BlackBerry smash, Apple smash. And I don't know many people with a Nokia phone anymore. Do you know what I mean? And that's in the space of what, 15 years, 20 years. So I know that seems like a long time, but it's not that long.
It's like
but
the same with Blockbuster, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
out.
but exactly. And they just slept. They just slept on it for just too long. And that's why I'm always thinking, right, 1 foot in the present, 1 foot in the future. You know, I think a guy called, he was the CFO or CEO of Disney, Bob Iger. That was it. He mentioned that in one of his talks I saw. And I thought, brilliant. That's what I'm going to do. 1 foot in the present, 1 foot in the future. And then just trying to evolve and try stuff, give it a go.
So I'm going to put this back on the screen right here.
Yeah.
I would love if we could walk through this a little bit. Kind of.
Yeah.
So for those watching the YouTubes of this conversation, the tubes. This is pretty powerful stuff. I wish I would have seen something like this in the beginning. This isn't like buy my ebook or anything. Like, this is just free information this dude just packs into a carousel. Can you talk a little bit about this? And we'll just go step from step, and I'll stop sharing the screen here and there as you talk, and then I'll jump back into the next one. Just because I want to show off your sexy handwriting and your design presentation.
Well, this isn't really my handwriting. It is my handwriting, but in the form of a font.
You made a font.
Made a font, yes. I said that very English-like with my mate, you know, Set Sail Studios, Sam. Don't know if you know him.
I don't know, but shout out.
Sick.
This is what I need to do for my own handwriting, because I thought you manually was writing all this out every time. I'm like, this dude's a psycho.
I did. If you scroll down about 3 months earlier, and 3 months earlier, I used to write them all by hand. You can start. Yes, if you go down, I know we're not even talking about it properly yet, but it's
still. But right here, systems and processes. How do you be more efficient in what you're doing?
Because I've got a lot of stuff.
Identify an issue within your streamlined process.
Yeah, but it was taking me like 2 hours to do them by hand, and then I decided, it must have been about maybe, I don't know how long the font's been out, about 6 months ago. Keep going. So that's
not hand drawn.
That's written. That's hand drawn. Yeah. So
say those S's are looking
18
different.
weeks ago. Yeah. So you can tell because it's not quite as neat.
God, crazy.
But anyway,
you have crazy stuff going on, like books and life and moves that you're making. We'll talk about the book, but let's dive back into that.
Yeah. So let's on this post. So, I mean, like you, I mean, this is something I wish I had known at the very, very beginning, because it would have saved me, like I said, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of worry. And I think as creatives, we have this, like I said, I don't think it's enough to be creative. I think to make, you need to be able to make a business out of your creativity. And to be able to do that, you have to have certain things in place that allow people to trust you. Obviously, get people to work with you. I used to be very much, I'm not going to do contracts, or I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to be, it's like word of mouth, or, my word is my oath kind of thing. And, it never beat me up too much, to be fair. But the times it did, I was like, why do I have nothing in place? All it would have taken is something in place. So, if you kind of want to skip to the next slide,
it's like you got to get burned in order to understand the value of a process in a system.
100%. Everything that I've got in place now is because I fucked it up before. And that is 100%. The reason I take 75% deposit now is because I got burned when I was taking 50% deposit working with people across the world. But I suppose we'll get to that.
So you're skipping over that, bro. You're skipping over the steps.
So ultimately, it's about, let's focus. I keep just thinking that nobody else is here and it's just me and you talking about crap again. But but to give you some value. So So for me, it's about, I think the more open and honest you are with reference to how you communicate to your clients, the better the relationship's going to be. So I'm extremely upfront about, certain things, my design process, what happens when, what the involvement they have, blah, 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 blah. So what it is, ultimately, before you start anything, so this is obviously once they've come to you and they've gone, I want to work with you, there should be a certain set of processes or certain things that you discuss before basically you onboard them?
Expectations.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, there are rules of engagement. I think that was a good film. Was it a good film? I can't remember. But
I haven't engaged with it.
Yeah, very good. But yeah, so I think, basically it's to set yourself up. So you're setting yourself up so you don't fail, and like, as I said, like, as creatives, you tend to, sometimes you forget about some of these bits and pieces, and then all it takes is one bad client and your whole week, your whole month might be thrown off just through one bad experience. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to stop that experience from happening. So the first thing for me, number one, I've got it up here so you don't have to share your screen.
Well, people need to see the sexiness.
Oh shit! Yeah, of course.
There we go.
But first, this is the tube.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So design process. So obviously, I'm talking from my experience as a brand identity, as a logo designer. But I think a lot of these processes and actions can be done across the industry, really. So for me, I lead them through the creative journey, so the things I communicate is things like, how many options do I create? What is my process for creating those options? How many revisions do they get? How long does the process take? And what is their involvement in the process? So basically what I'm doing is, before they've committed to me and I've committed to them, I'm saying, this is how I work. I think the only way you can kind of accurately price is if you're totally in control of the process. So I like to work on like a flat rate for logo design, but that only works if I stick to my process. So when they come to me, I say, I charge £2,500. My logo work starts at 2,500. And then it obviously goes up in increments from there, depending on deliverables and stuff like that.
And so if I can just break down the client process, because what you do is different than a lot of people. You just have flat fees just to protect your sanity, your time. Not many would all agree with that, but it's about finding a process that works for you. So when you start this design process, chat number one with them, do they onboard via your Instagram, then get some, which leads into a contact form on your website? Like, how does this client funnel user experience start to where you start this process with them?
Yeah. And I think that's a very important question or point you raised. Like, there is no one size fits all. This works for me. I'm smashing out 80 to 100 logos a year, so that works for me. It gives me time to do what I do and work on my process. So this might not work for you. So that's very important, that there isn't one size shoe fits all. So, but when it comes to clients, I think I've probably got, I would say like 40% comes through social media, but not just Instagram. I would classify that as like LinkedIn, YouTube, Dribbble, Pinterest, Instagram. Probably a fair chunk of that comes through interest.
Do you use Behance too?
No, I'm not on Behance. I'm thinking in the new year of getting involved, purely to be involved in the community for nothing else. I mean, I'm on Dribbble. I don't think I've ever got any work from Dribbble, but I'm still there.
You're planting seeds. But the ones I want to bring out to people that I keep forgetting to mention to students is LinkedIn and Pinterest. Leverage those.
Pinterest I get 3 million unique views a month.
Wow.
From Pinterest.
That'll have to be a whole nother episode of how to promote your work.
And that's taken a huge amount of time, like years of posting content, like of anything. So
we're gonna have to come back with another episode of how do you promote and repurpose your work to these different sites at once to get maximum reach.
Content is king. Remember that. So not queen. So I only said that. That is not a weird joke. I just said that because I called Scotty the crypto queen and he wanted to be called king, just for anybody that was.
Or Prince over here. Like, there's smarter people. But okay. Yeah. So now people have filled out a form on your site, right?
Yeah. So basically they come to me through Instagram. I'll give them some might come through Instagram. I'll give them my email address, and what they'll do is that ask them to send me a brief, send me like a little bit of a backdrop of the process, as I said, of their project and all the rest of it. And then once they've done that, I'll send them my email with my fees, and as I said, like I have like 3 different packages for logo design, as well as a bespoke package because obviously at Baby Giant, we do web, email marketing and everything. So a lot of people will come in through the logo funnel, but they'll end up leaving with website, email marketing, 3 years worth of social media stuff, all the rest of it. So often people come in through the Made.By.James funnel, looking to spend 2, 3, 4, 5K on brand identity, whatever it ends up being based on deliverables, but they'll leave 4 or 5 years later having spent 60, 70K web marketing.
A nurtured relationship.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's what I think is really important. That's why it's quite good to build some sort of team if you've got one, even if you can't do it, find people that can, because if they trust you to do something, they'll trust your judgment on the other stuff, and you can make cuts and money doing all the rest of that. So that's basically the kind of onboarding process. But I also get 40% of my work through repeat clients, word of mouth. They've worked with me. They've told their mate who's seen their stuff, go work with James. Those are my favorite. I don't even pitch. They just go, how much? I go X. They go, right, I'm in. No, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. But that's the kind of win for me of having lots of work out in the world and constantly showing up, is that I don't ever pitch for stuff, ever.
So when someone hits you up, fills out the contact form, you may have to, if it seems like something you're interested in, ask them to send you a brief, and then you go through this process?
Yeah. So basically I'll get them to just give me a little bit of insight on the project, because there's certain things I won't do.
And you're not jumping on a phone call yet. You're just gathering email to protect your time. I know a lot of people who will spend hours emailing, putting PDFs together, putting proposals together. They've invested sometimes days, and then they haven't even spoken about prices, and the guy's got $50, and you've already wasted hundreds of dollars trying to talk to them. So for me, that's why I like to be very upfront and have like a set price for, like, I say it's a set price to start off with, but you can bespokeify it, which kind of gets tailored to your needs at the end of it. But what it does is it weeds out all the people who can't afford me. I'm not wasting any time with them, not wasting any time or energy talking to them, flapping around, showing them a load of stuff. I'm only speaking to the people that are going to pay me money. That is it. Those are the only people I pay for. So I can get money in my account after maybe 4 or 5 minutes of conversations via email. Okay. Hell yeah. So you hit them with, sorry, go on.
Yeah. So that's basically it. So I've streamlined that process, and that's why, that's why I feel, especially for like logo design, if you're working to your process, people go, what happens if Coca-Cola came to you? Would you have the same price? And I'm like, I don't know. Coca-Cola's never fucking come to me. That's
what I wondered too. I'm like, so if bigger brands came, does your process change? But that's not what this is about today. This is about figuring out your own process.
But honestly, I've worked with massive companies and I've worked with mum and pop shops. My price has been the same for them. It takes me exactly the same amount of time. I don't charge people just because they got more money. For me, that doesn't sit quite right. So, but obviously, we can go into that in a different one. So firstly, chat to them about your process, how you work, and what you're doing in that is you're starting to get to know each other a little bit. Because if they're like, oh, can I see? Because my process, for example, is I like to show one, I like to put my full ass into one idea rather than half-assed load ideas. So if they're like, well, I'd like to see a load of sketches first, I'm like, that's cool, but that's not for me. You probably want to go somewhere else because that's not my process. So if they ever want me to move my process, I also know that it's not a project for me. Yeah, that's cool. And that's fine. That's absolutely not a problem. I think you've got to stick to your guns.
You've gotten to the place you've earned the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that. It was.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do unlimited revisions, Scotty. I used to do
bend over backwards too.
Yeah, unlimited revisions, and luckily it never beat me in the ass too much until it did, and I was like, no more, no more of that. Yeah, so that kind of takes you on to this number 2, actually, which is basically who owns what. And I think this is quite an interesting one for designers and creatives, because from my point of view, obviously, depending on how your process goes, but say if I have like 2 or 3 failed concepts before, I do 4 rounds of revisions, basically. So if they don't like the first one, we'll chat about it, we'll talk about it. And then we go on. The client only owns the final design. They don't own anything else. They don't own the 2 failed concepts before that. They are owned by me. And I think clarifying that throughout the process, before the process starts, is really, really important. Because you can make money out of those. They might not be quite right for them, but they could be right for somebody else. I've never personally sold a previous design, but I have looked at them and used those as inspiration for other clients. I've never duplicated them and said, here you go. But people can do that. I know, for example, there are people like my mate Alan Peters, for example. He might create like 20 to 50 different concepts at the beginning, but they only own the kind of final design, which is right, because he can then reuse those other designs, and he could sell those if he wanted to, because he's creating so many different concepts.
He's quick with it, with his process.
Oh yeah, I mean he's a good buddy.
We love Alan.
Great guy. That's a classic example. His process is totally different to mine, but we still make a living out of logo design. And I think that's the beauty of it. There isn't one size fits all. It's whatever works for you. But I think like these things that we're chatting about probably should be a part of your process. Doesn't matter how you create stuff. There's all the stuff you do before that protects you, I think, should be done by a lot of creatives. And this one is like, knowing what the client owns after it, so they don't go, oh, can I have that? Can I have that too? Oh, can I have that too? Like, no, you only get the one that you liked because you paid for it. Everything else is mine. Then you're allowed to share it, use it, whatever. It's quite an important one.
And this is all done over the phone, because they went through the first phase. You shot them your flat rates via email. They passed checkpoint number 1. Checkpoint number 2, you're going through the design process, these 5 things on a call, right?
Yeah. So build that relationship. This number 2 will generally happen. Yeah. So we might have had a call at this stage, but this will all be within like my SOW, which is my statement of work. So this is basically before the deposit's paid.
Okay. I didn't know if you're like on a phone call walking them through this with some kind of presentation so they can ask questions along the way.
No, I don't walk them through. Again, I'm trying to kind of save time.
Okay.
I mean,
even more streamlined. That's good to know, because I was thinking this is the stuff you'd walk through a call. If they okayed the pitch that you sent them or the flat fee overview, then you're like, okay, let's jump on a call. But no, you have like a second. So this is all
basically they go, so I've sent them my prices. They go, yes, I like that. I go, right, let's book you in.
Here's email number 2.
Here's email number 2, copy, paste. Here's the stuff you've got to do.
It's just templated emails. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what I do is once they've onboarded, and obviously it goes through like, I know we go on to like deposits and stuff after this one, but so we can move on to this.
No. Okay. So yeah, keep going before I turn it.
Yeah. So basically we've kind of done this one a little bit, I would say, but it's kind of, all of this is also reiterated, so I've talked them through like, this is how I work, then it's all kind of detailed within the SOW, which is like a 4-page, I think 5-page PDF. The last page is the one they sign, but it basically breaks down, all of these things, timelines, the deliverables, the pricing, who owns what, terms and conditions, rights to share, yada, 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 yada. But the pricing, if we go on to that next one. So
I love that you're just 2 emails deep already getting them to sign something. You haven't been on a call yet.
No, but I believe I can not necessarily get away with that, but
I feel like that's exactly what it is. You've built up the demand. You can get away with this and protect your time and energy. You can do it.
And I probably can get away with it, but it's because I've invested hundreds of thousands of hours, not necessarily hundreds of thousands, but tens of thousands of hours, constantly being open and honest, constantly sharing my process, constantly sharing stuff on Instagram. They can go onto YouTube and watch my whole process.
You have social proof and trust already developed from years of pouring into your craft and building your brand. Like you have trust. People buy and hire those they know, like, and trust. It's marketing 101.
My digital footprint is pretty sound. They can go Google reviews and see 50 good reviews. They can go and see the book. They can go and see social media. They can go onto LinkedIn. They can go to my websites. Everywhere. It's all aligning. So, and a lot of the people a lot of people I work with have followed me on Instagram, for 2 or 3 years, knowing one day that they'll want something and they'll want me to do it, and so they've already kind of been taken on that journey, and it becomes like, oh yeah, I want him to do it because I like his process and I like how he works. And so everybody kind of thinks I do all this stuff for social media. And obviously I do it to help other designers and stuff like that. But the majority of the content I put out there, whether it's a logo or anything like this, even this payment process client stuff, I'm communicating to all of my potential future clients. This is James. This is how he does it. If you like it, great. If you don't, not a problem. Do you know what I mean? So by the time we're chatting, they're already on board. So,
every piece of content for you is planting a seed for a future job, as well as building credibility and authority. That's exactly. and an opportunity that could bud from it one day. That's why I teach students, plant your seeds. When you're not planting seeds, you have nothing to reap one day.
Yeah, there is strategy behind the beard, which is always good.
There should be, though. This isn't just a show up and wing it kind of shit, and expect your creative dream to blossom overnight. Because I just create every day. I'm like, there's got to be a level of intentionality from a hobbyist to a professional.
And I did wing it for a long time and got away with it. But as soon as I started implementing decent processes, proper structure, productivity went up, sales went up.
You plateau. You can get away with it for only so long. And that was me for like the first 4 years. I was winging shit. I didn't have processes and systems. Yeah. Then I had a kiddo. I'm like, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Systems.
Help. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Systems rule. So payment wise, I mean, due to my process, obviously, I like to kind of present one idea, and often, not often, but sometimes, maybe 50% of the time, that option is right. They love it. And that's it. There's no other work done after that, which is great for me. But the reason I do 75% is because I would say probably like 80% of my clients are all around the world. So what I got stung a few times, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where I would obviously get 50% up front, do my process, share one design, never hear from them ever again, because they've kind of got the idea, they really like it, and they're like,
paid half price.
I've paid half price. So, and again, I didn't have a contract back then. I didn't have an SOW. So in my SOW now, it's like you only own.
So you were SOL.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, very good. Basically, in my contracts now, it says you don't own the work that I create until you pay the final amount. I never had that in the early stages. It was like, oh, I'm a creative, they'll pay me to do this work if they like it. And as I said, 95% of people do. 5% of people, I was going to say something rude, but I won't. But, they like to take the mic a little bit. But so now basically because of my process, I've refined that, and I'm still refining my processes all the time. I do 75% up front, and there's no wiggle room on that. If somebody goes, can we do 50-50? I'm like, no, sorry.
I'm not the guy.
This is you can honestly go anywhere else you want to. Luckily I'm at a stage now where I don't have a problem with kind of getting the work. And if I do find myself not getting the work, I've got loads of other work to do, like build logo courses and do other stuff. So it's kind of not a problem. But, you know, I'm fully booked. You know, I've got people already paid their 75% deposit now. They paid it last month and they're not booked until March. Do you know what I mean? So from my point of view, it's quite humbling because they trust me that much to invest that with, you know, it's still quite a long way away. But like I said, it's taken me 16 years to get to where I am, and then lots and lots of content to build up that trust and stuff.
It's a patient build. It's like you can't build an empire overnight. You can't.
No. And I think that's sometimes the big issue that a lot of creators will find and they'll stumble over, is they might get to year 1, year 2 and not really see any results. You know, maybe even year 3. You know, I didn't make any money for 2-3 years. I didn't make great money.
Showed a loss for my first 4 years of my business.
Yeah. And I think that's what people kind of get disheartened by it. And I think that's when, you know, there's usually, as you say, that 3-4 year mark where it's like make or break. I either stick at it or I change it up. A lot of people change it up. I know people who've given up. I get messages on the gram saying, "Oh, I'm 6 months in. I've only had 2 clients." And I say, "Well, that's 2 more clients than I had for the first 6 months." You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I think, you know, there's such a need to have everything quick. You know, you see someone on social media doing
society
well.
we live in, man. We're promised microwavable results when really it's delayed gratification is the key in this game.
100%.
Let's finish through these last 2 so that we can get to the big news. And, you know, let people know where they can snag it.
Obviously, I keep forgetting we're chatting. So I always just think it's me and you. I love it.
I got to just respect my editor's time.
Sorry, editor. So number 4, deliverables. And this is a really important one because this is actually a really fantastic way of making more money. So I always, in the SOW as well, in the contract, what do they get for their money? So whether it's a logo package, identity package, deep dive package, I list the things they get. They get the logo, they get it in this format, blah, 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 you know, or if they ask for like a business card or some corporate stationery or an animation, it's all listed. So basically what happens is, you know, we've all been there and then somebody goes, "Oh, I thought you were going to do me a business card for this price." And you sit there and go, "Did I tell them that? I can't remember if I told them that." Probably. Well, I'll just do it anyway. I used to do so much free shit for people just because I just couldn't be asked with the hassle of saying no. Do you know what I mean? But now I basically outline absolutely everything, all in email, all in the SOW. So if they say, "You said you do this," I can go, "Well, if you actually look on the 15th of December at 4:00 in the afternoon, I told you what we're going to go and you sign this in the SOW." And they go, "Oh yeah." Basically, some people try and take the mickey
sneaky.
a little bit. But what you do, I use that as leverage. I go, "Look, it wasn't within the original scope, but I can do that for an extra 200 quid. I can do this for an extra 450." And the amount of times I've made maybe sometimes $1,000 with add-ons, you know, or actually maybe I do fancy animation now. Dum. You keep building it up. So, and you can only do that if you're really strict, you know, on what they're getting. I mean, this is how you make money as well. I know how much money I make on each project because I know what I'm doing. If
it's
I'm
like
adding in
I'm buying a burger at a restaurant, but I actually want some bacon on that. You know, I want some cheese on my fries.
Chuck in the cheese. And I want five packs of barbecue sauce, you know, and 4 drinks, you know what I mean? So, you know, all these little bits add on. You know, if you're making an extra 20, 30, 40 quid here on each project and you've got 100 projects, you know, you're talking $4,000, you know, just by charging for your time. So that is why it's really important to talk about deliverables. This is my favorite one. And something that not a lot of, especially for a logo designer, you know, but I think it also would apply to quite a lot of like the creative illustration, art-based photographers, whatever it is out there, is within your SOW or with, you know, and this should usually be signed, which is why I say it should be within some sort of form of a contract, the right to share the work. So for example, with the book that came out, with, you know, my social media posts, every single client before I start the work signs it. And within that, they allow me to basically share the work. I can share that work at any stage, anytime during the process, on anything. You know, I get, obviously they own the design, but I am allowed to share it as a part of my portfolio. I'm allowed to use it as a self-promotional tool. I'm allowed to use it to kind of, you know, market myself, basically. And that's why, you know, but obviously I will have a chat with my clients, you know, before, you know, and before, even after the client, even if they've signed it and the project is finished, I will ask them, are you happy for me to share? And, you know, a lot of the time they'll go, yeah, no problem, which is great. Sometimes they might not be launching for a year, and they'll say, look, I'm not launching until, I got a client at the moment who I did some work for 8 months ago, and they're not launching until April. So they're like, the product launches in April. Would you mind waiting until then, once we've got trademarks and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not a problem. Again, communicating. But the right to share bit within your, you know, SOW or within your communication allows is you the kind of, you know, you can share it on your website. Your client can't go, why are you sharing that? I said no. And you can go, well, you signed this, you know, and they're like, oh, I didn't read it. Well, that's not my problem if you didn't read it. Do you know what I mean? You know, so basically what it does, it just kind of just makes your bed. You know, I can sleep very well at night with all these 5 things in place because everybody knows my process. I can share the work whenever I want. I've got my 75% up front. You know, everybody's happy with my process. They're happy to work with me the way I want to work. Therefore, I have good days more often than not. And that's basically what it comes down to, is all this
reducing kind of headaches.
Oh, being able to sleep at night. You know, I only had a contract. I only started kind of written contracts maybe a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And because I just used to do it, you know, it'll be okay. Nothing's gone wrong yet, you know, and nothing luckily ever did go massively wrong. But ever since I've had it in place, you know, just having all this stuff outlined allows me just to enjoy my weekends, enjoy my time off. If a bad client comes in, I'm like, this SOW's got you covered, mate. So you can be a bigger twat as you want, but I'm in control here, you know. And I think that's what it is. It's the control element of creativity that, you know, I suffered with originally, but now I don't. So it's good.
Creates control, puts control in your favor, and creates boundaries.
Important ones. Mm-hmm. Very important ones.
So speaking of like things going outside of your control for unforeseen circumstances.
We segued that one now, didn't we?
Yeah, well, unintentional, right?
Yeah.
So
like it.
What I'm really, really stoked about is your upcoming book. You had a lot going on, a lot on your plate. And I want to make sure we get a chance to like give this justice. You know, what people can expect, what happened with it. Why have we had to reschedule this so many times?
Yeah.
But yeah, like chill us a little bit. I feel like we've given a lot of value. And if people want more on like your logo process and more tips and tricks all in one curated spot, like this is it.
What, this?
Yes. Show it up there.
Oh, I don't really like doing it that much, but there you go. So this is actually the only copy that I've got at the moment and I'll give you a little
sneaky peeky. Look at the flash sheets.
You know, but there's a lot of cool stuff in there about process, dealing with clients, routines, habits, work processes, and everything. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, it was supposed to be out already, you know, and like we've, you know, you've been a blessing, you know, you've been able to kind of reschedule this multiple times for me because, the book was supposed to launch in early November, then it was late November. And, you know, now I've been told it's not going to be until the 1st of February, 2022. But the funny thing is there are people in Australia, there are people in New Zealand who have already got it, who are reading it, who are leaving epic reviews, which is awesome. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it's just starting to become a little bit real now. You know, for a long time, it was just me and my book and the publishers who kind of knew about it. You know, obviously I'd spoken about it, it was coming out, but until it's actually out there and being read by other people out of your control, you know, so I could give a copy to my wife and she could read it. But now there's actually people buying it, which is bonkers. You know, it's done really well in pre-orders as well. So yeah, it's just full of, it's basically, yeah, I've kind of labeled it as my honest guide to creativity and logo design, but it's everything I've learned, the processes, how I messed up, my past, you know, how to beat creative block, how to, you know, come up with ideas, you know, how
what
to
we talked about today, but on steroids.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I only had 30,000 words, which seems like a lot, but I think I wrote close to 90, 100,000. So I had to kind of, but, you know, I still say the same amount, but just with less babble, you know, which I like to do. So, but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I think I'm just glad it's out there because it's the, you know, it's the kind of friend I needed when I was starting in the industry. You know, there's a lot of stuff in there that if I had read that a decade ago, you know, I would have had a lot smoother ride and probably gone a little bit further, a little bit quicker. So I haven't used it as a self-promotional tool. There's a little bit about me in there, but it's basically helping other designers. So yeah, I'm just pumped for people to get it. I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it.
So being that this episode drops late January, when can everybody get their little hungry phalanges on it?
Hungry phalanges. So yeah, I mean, so basically it releases on the first. I mean, you can pre-order from now, but obviously this is going to come out in January. So if you pre-order now, you should expect it within the next couple of weeks. I would imagine if it releases on the 1st of Feb. You know, I am tied by shipping, COVID, crap, all that
supply
stuff.
chain backup.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been. I mean, there's a shortage of cardboard, for God's sake. I mean, the world's gone crazy. But you know, I think, you know, I haven't been told otherwise. And at the moment, 1st of February is the release date, and so everybody should be getting it from then. So yeah, I'm a little nervous, even though it's already out in Down Under in Australia, and there's lots of good reviews and everything's going well. It's just one of those things. I just want it out and done now. Just want not done so I can drop it, just done so I can just breathe a little bit. Because there's still that kind of like, has it happened yet? Has it forward, back? But yeah, I'm pumped, mate.
Where can people get it online? And then where can people go to follow you online and support you as well? Where can get that book and where can they support you?
So if you just type in Made.By.James into Google, the book will come up, which is awesome. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, Booktopia. It's available in a multitude of online shops. And you can also go into the shop and get it if you want, which would be cool, which I'm going to do. I might just go in and just sign them randomly and just leave it and just see if somebody goes and grabs it. But yeah, and if you want to follow me or find out more about me or come and join the ride, you know, online, Made.By.James, Instagram, Made.By.James, YouTube, Made.By.James, LinkedIn, Made.By.James, Pinterest. So as I said, just type in Made.By.James and this one will appear and just push that follow. And it'll be fun. You know, I won't let you down. I'll keep sharing. You know, I'm not going anywhere. I've got a lot to give. So and I'm happy to do it. So
well, I'm stoked to get my hungry little phalanges on this one too. I'll be rocking it. It'll probably sit somewhere. I need like something to go right here. It seems so empty. Maybe a cool little bookshelf of all the homies' books with maybe a cool plant.
Or maybe just a shrine.
A shrine.
Yeah, I'll send you a really good picture of me. Maybe I'll send you a nice candle. And then
Candle could be dope.
then
A candle with a beard on it.
Yeah,
that'd be some wild brand scented.
Like
oh god,
yeah,
this is James's beard balm.
Yeah.
Sandalwood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I've got a good, nice little gift to send you once I get some copies of the book that isn't this one. So yeah, I'm just excited.
They shall be cherished forever. Well, I really, really appreciate you. I'm assuming we'll probably talk again tomorrow or the next day.
I'm going to text you. I've got some crypto knowledge I need.
All right. We'll hook up another one-on-one session over here. I don't just coach side hustlers, y'all. Coaching cryptos and NFTs.
Get on Coach Scotty Crypto Hustle. That's what I would do.
Coach Crypto Hustle.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's the new side hustle. So I still side hustle outside of my main hustle. But love you, brother.
1 foot in the present, 1 foot in the future. Remember that. Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But much love to you, brother. It's always a pleasure. And thank you so much for always dropping dimes on my audience. Like, we sincerely appreciate you.
Yeah, I love you too. And I love everybody. So yeah, appreciate you having me on again. And yeah, we will chat soon, no doubt.
All right, homie. Peace.
Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.